Because I have also seen many Buddhist stories on YouTube also. They say that how it goes around and comes around. Like you do a good deed, like you do charity or something like that, and great amount of wealth comes back to you because you are into good things. So the universe gifts you with abundance.
That's called blessing.
Like some people are born rich in this world and some people are born poor. This could be possibly due to the past life bad karma or the blessings they have. They don't have enough blessings that make them rich.
That's that. I believe that. I believe that people who are very, very wealthy, like Elon Musk. Do you know who he is? No? Or president of a country. They have a lot of blessing. When you come in with a lot of blessing, you kind of choose how you're going to use it. You can be the president of a country. You can be wealthy like Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world. Or you can become enlightened. You can use that blessing to become enlightened.
Everything is part of past karma also, because from past lives, because of what karma we carry from the past life, this life also is shaped by that.
Correct.
Where we are
But-
born, the parents we get.
Yes. Well, you never know though. Well, yes, you're right. But sometimes the life we have is giving us an opportunity to move forward. And sometimes our family is all karmic that we owe them. Like for me, my brother died very young. He was 16. And it was pretty obvious that he and I had a very close, beautiful relationship. But then others in my family and I had a very abrasive one. So it depends on where your path takes you. And the way you see the world right now has everything to do with your past karma.
Tara Hoffman is an author, teacher, and student of the Dalai Lama with decades of Buddhist study, guiding others to freedom through the wisdom of the wild animal mind. And if you are an author ready to self-publish or share your voice with the world, visit blazegoldburst.com, your portal to publishing, visibility, and global impact. Also, support this movement by diving into Lord's Ordinary Children by Gita Shripani and Reversed Order Existence by Blaze Goldburst.
Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Can enlightenment be hacked or fast tracked? Are there hidden ways to bypass lifetimes of karma and reach full awakening?
Yes, that's what I'm here teaching. Enlightenment, the Buddha said, enlightenment is just a turn of the head. It's not something that is so difficult. Well, it is difficult, but it's not impossible for human beings. It's easier for other beings, like animals. Animals have very simple minds, very innocent. And that is the most beneficial place to be when it comes to enlightenment. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was asked one time, one of his students asked him, "Your Holiness, are you an enlightened being?" And he could have easily said yes, because he is an enlightened being. And he said, "I am only a simple monk." And that tells us that he's very humble, but it also tells us, it gives us a little clue as to how we can navigate through enlightenment. Because we humans have a very complex mind, and that gets in the way. So the key is your own path, how you walk your path to enlightenment. For me, I had written my first book called A Wild Thought, A Calm Mind. For me, it was to live in nature, not to be in the city, but to be out in nature. And I had a lot of friends who were animals, wild animals. So That is how I walked my path. Now, other people have different ways, but the way, like you've seen a lot of people that are meditating and doing that kind of thing, they're trying to reach that place of innocence, of simple mind. So once we can find the simple mind, then our path moves forward. So the hack is, the quicker you can figure out how to get there, the easier it will be. And I'm given a clue. It is the animal mind. It sounds strange, but children are naturally enlightened. They're happy, they're inquisitive, they can sense all kinds of things that humans can't. That's where we want to go back to.
So, any hidden way to bypass lifetimes of karma?
Yes. Once we realize how we create karma, then we can clean it up. The way we create karma, we have, when we're in spirit form, we have one mind, and that is the pure mind, the Buddha mind. When we take physical form, then we have the Buddha mind and also the ego mind. And the ego mind is a squeaky wheel, and the ego mind likes to make a lot of noise, so we pay more attention to that than the pure mind doesn't make any noise at all. It's just there. It's like a calm sea. But the ego mind is like waves beating on a shore. And so we pay more attention. And if we stay in the pure mind, we don't create karma. That's why enlightened beings can do anything they want. And they're not creating karma. They can kill. They can. But their intention is different. Their intention, I knew a master that one time he was known as, he was a Chinese master, and he was known as the most gentle master in China. He never harmed anyone. He wouldn't even harm animals or insects or anything. And one day his students found him in the kitchen with a big vat of hot oil. No, I guess it was water. Big vat of boiling water. Now, this is a Buddhist tale. It's not something I made up. Anyway, so what he was doing was he had, over on this side, he had a bunch of fish that were alive, and they were flopping around. He was picking up one, putting it in the boiling water, which killed it, and eating it, putting the bones to the side. And his students were horrified. And they said, "Master, how can you do this? How can you be this way?" He said, "I know that these fish were going to become enlightened next lifetime, so I'm helping them along." That's the difference between the enlightened mind and the unenlightened mind, which we call sentient mind. It has to do with intention. Did I answer your question? So the sooner we get to that point of the simple mind and we start realizing that karma is created with the ego mind, and it has to do with emotion. So when emotion arises, karma is created, whether it be negative or positive.
So, do you feel animals have karma?
I believe that all sentient beings have karma until we become enlightened. That would be, I mean, some people aren't even aware that there's, in the Buddhist realm, there's 10 different layers of beings. And I've met even more than that. So we have the hell realm. We have the hungry ghosts, which people talk about all the time, seeing ghosts. And we have animals and humans, and we have the heavenly realm. We have Asura realm, Arhat realm, Bodhisattvas, who are enlightened beings, and Buddhists. So until we reach, I forgot the self-enlightened beings, sorry. Until we reach the enlightened level, we're going to be born and die, and born and die, over and over and over, until we become enlightened. That's called suffering.
So, my next question is enlightenment the ultimate escape from karma, or is it just another level of the game?
The ultimate escape from karma. And then once one reaches that place, they have a choice. they can just sit there in peaceful bliss, or they can come back and help other living beings. And that's what bodhisattvas do. They are in the trenches with us and help us every day. Once one reaches enlightenment, you have a choice. You can exist anywhere you want, anywhere. You can go back and forth through all the realms. You can sit in bliss and just be left alone. It's your choice. You can stay in the realm you're at and help other beings, help your relatives, or you can just do whatever you want, really. You're free. Your mind is free. That's why my book is called Free the Mind, because you have every choice then. Right now, we think we have free will. Well, maybe a little bit, but not much.
Everything is part of past karma also, because from past lives, because of what karma we carry from the past life, this life also is shaped by that.
Correct.
Where we are
But
born, the parents we get,
yes.
it's
Well, you never know though. Well, yes, you're right. But sometimes the life we have is giving us an opportunity to move forward. And sometimes our family is all karmic that we owe them. Like for me, my brother died very young. He was 16. And it was pretty obvious that he and I had a very close, beautiful relationship. But then others in my family and I had a very abrasive one. So it depends on where your path takes you. And the way you see the world right now has everything to do with your past karma and the realm you're in. So when you have, like, we're in the human realm, well, so you see everything according to how your culture taught you. So in your culture and my culture, although we're both humans with different culture, and so you will be a product of your culture and your past karma, and I will be the same. So no two human beings are ever going to be the same, totally.
what happens to karma after someone attains enlightenment. Does it dissolve, or does it still play a role in their journey?
It dissolves. If a person think about it, enlightenment is not religion. Enlightenment happens outside of religion. It's kind of hard to understand, but enlightenment, all that is a light mind. Enlightenment, light mind. So the more heavy karma you have, which is negative karma, you'll never become enlightened because it's too heavy. And it doesn't have anything to do with right and wrong, good or bad. There's no such thing in the enlightened mind. Good and bad and right and wrong has everything to do with our culture and what we've learned. So what might be wrong in one culture is going to be, what's going to be wrong in one is going to be right in the other. And especially difference in the realms. Like in this culture, if you kill someone and you get caught, you're going to go to jail or you might die. In the animal culture, they do it all the time. It's not against their culture. That's just the way they are. It doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean we're right. It means it's just the rules of the culture. So when something goes against the rules of the culture and we react, that's karma is created. If we don't react, no karma is created.
Humans are conscious beings and they do it consciously. Like if they kill an animal, they know that they are killing it, but animals are only hunting it for food. But humans
Right.
are doing it like it's a supply chain or something. They're selling it, earning profit from it. They're doing some kind of higher level of negative karma also.
Well, it depends on how you see it. This is the hardest thing for students to understand. So I can see it in your eyes. You're going, I don't know about that. When you operate outside of culture, imagine every culture has rules, but where enlightenment is outside of that. So one time, my daughter came to me and said, there is a sex offender that is living in the houses two down from us. That's terrible. And I said to her, well, maybe according to your rules it's terrible. Now, I wasn't trying to say that I want her to be there. I'm saying that the enlightened mind doesn't think that way. There's very little thinking when it comes to the enlightened mind. It's just anytime we make a decision, that is the ego mind. Anytime.
So an enlightened mind is detached from everything.
I wouldn't say it's detached. I would say that it encompasses everything. So, like, for example, there's a saint. Her name is Wan Shiryin. She's a bodhisattva. She's here to help all living beings. If she helps me and it hurts you, we're both her children. Why would she do that? She would never want me to hurt you or vice versa. So that kind of stuff, she tries to help in any way she can, but she doesn't step into that. Because once a person is enlightened, they see everyone as their family. They see everyone as on the spiritual path, just like they were, but maybe not as far ahead. So it's difficult to think outside of your cultural rules, but once you can comprehend that, and if you contemplate on it, you'll understand it. Once you can get outside of that, then you can see that there's really no right and wrong in this world. It's all what's perceived according to your past karma and your culture. Does that make sense?
In the present life also people commit karma, and that becomes a part of their future karma also.
If it's not resolved, yes.
No, like if someone steals something from someone, or affects someone in a relationship, or treats others badly, or something like that, it could be part of their future karma, or they might be creating a new kind of karma for the future.
It could be. It all depends on how they see that. For example, if I steal something, I don't want to call, we'll say Bob. Bob steals something. If Bob doesn't feel bad about that, or if he doesn't feel elated about it, he won't create karma.
What about the affected party?
That has nothing to do with karma.
What if they are sad and they cry and they wish that hell breaks upon that burglar? What will happen then?
Then they've created their own negative karma.
Then who will be facing the consequences of that karma?
They will.
Then how will
I
they
know.
get justice? Then how will they get justice?
Because it has to do with your emotions. Karma is only emotion. That's it. It doesn't care what's right or wrong. It just cares how I feel about it. So if I hurt someone and I feel terrible, I'm going to create negative karma. It doesn't matter what happens to them as far as karma is concerned. Of course, we don't want anything bad to happen to them. But if I feel bad, then I'm going to create negative karma for myself. If I feel happy, then this is very hard, but I will create positive karma. It has nothing to do with morals. It has to do with how I feel when it happens. I know.
Most people would get away with negative karma if they are like a hardened soul. They don't care, like, oh, I don't care if he or she feels bad. I can make myself feel positive and I get away with killing them. Then how will the law of the country operate? That's also
Well, the
part of
law,
karma.
the
That's
law would, of course, they would have to pay for that.
then
But they didn't. Now, it all depends on how they feel.
but the law will not understand this and they will think that it is part of their karma and punishment is also part of karma.
That's right. They will be punished. And they might be very angry that they're getting punished, and then they will create negative karma.
What if they're happy and they're still punished?
Positive karma. Sounds very strange, but it's not anything that's analyzed. It's only sparks in the mind, sparks. And I want to also say that karma, now I disagree with the Buddhist. I've taken Christianity and Buddhism and what I've learned, and that's what I teach. I'm not really Buddhist or Christian or anything. I'm just a spiritual teacher. From what I believe is that it has to operate outside. And when you've lived in a culture your whole life, it's very hard to accept that. It's very hard to accept that someone murders someone and they don't have to pay the karma. Well, first of all, we don't know what they're doing. We don't know what their karma, what has happened with their karma. And I disagree with the Buddhists. They say that karma is created with thought, word, and deed. I don't agree with that. It is only created in the mind. If I say something or I do something, that is just final bringing it to an end. But if I have a thought that I want to hurt someone, I already created the karma, regardless if I do anything about it or not.
Then how do we attract karmic relationships? I have a question about that. Like, some relationships are not soulmate like, and they come into your life to teach you a very bad lesson. But you are in a good state of mind, you are doing meditation and everything, but still you are having such kind of people who you feel that you can't get rid of at any moment. But still you are adjusting and still you are making, you want that everything should be good. But still other people don't have good intentions for you. What could be the case in this? What kind of karma is that person creating or
It
receiving?
depends on how you feel. That's why in Christianity, they say, forgive everyone. It's not because you're forgiving that person. It's you are wiping away the karma that you created with that person. You just say, you know what? You can do whatever you want. I'm okay with it. And I'm in a state of peace. That is wiping away karma.
But sometimes situations also don't allow people to live in peace.
That's true.
Because I have heard that if you are in a group of people who are thieves, you might become a thief. There's a possibility. And if you are in a group of saints, then you will learn something different.
That's true. But ultimately, it's up to you what you do and what you think. And I remember one of my teachers saying, if you roll around in the tar long enough, you're going to get black. She said that, and I agree with it. So it's better to stay centered in yourself. And in this culture, in this time, it's hard to have time by yourself. But if it wouldn't have been for me having time by myself, I would have never been able to accept or to learn what I've learned with and teach. Alone time is, remember, when you're alone, you're not going to create karma because you're not going to be around people. Right?
But in thoughts one can create.
It is.
Like if I'm sending some kind of bad vibration towards someone, then it could be possible.
That's true.
If
But
I
if you have
don't
a bad,
think good about others, if I don't think good about others, if I feel that I have been wronged, something, that's also part of karma, at least in the mind.
yes. If you feel like that person wronged you, you're angry and you create karma, negative. So it's more difficult to just say, go ahead. I've had people steal things from me. And then I just said, you know what? Maybe you need it more than I do. Take it. And then you have a peace of mind. Then your karma is
Or do you
resolved.
believe that you stole something from them in the past life and they came back to steal it from you?
Possibly. It's possible. And it's possible that it happens to give you an opportunity to clear that karma out.
Or it could be a new karma created by them.
It's not going to be initiated by them. They did take the action, but it's up to you how you feel about it. I know it's hard. I know.
Okay, my next question is, could someone be reborn even after enlightenment? Or is that the end of the cycle?
Oh, yeah, they will, because they will be reborn over and over again so they can help other beings. And they could be reborn in every realm to help others.
Like angels?
But they are not confined to that realm like we are here, right? Well, I won't say me or you. Like some people here are confined. It's like being in a prison. When there are people that go into the prison that have to be there for a long time. And then there's the prison guards that come in and out. That's the bodhisattvas that can come in and out of the prison. They're not stuck there. They go there to help other beings, but they can move around.
Do you consider yourself an enlightened being?
I'm just a simple teacher that's here to help others. And what I teach, I don't take credit for. It was given to me by an enlightened being so that I could teach it. And from what I understand from her, I have taught it life after life after life. So no, I don't claim to be an enlightened being.
So you met Dalai Lama.
I did.
How was the experience? I would love to hear about it.
Well, the interesting part of that, when I met him, I went to India with a group of people, and I was with my teacher, the Venerable Choje Rinpoche. Rinpoche was his number one student in India when he studied. So we had an easy in to see His Holiness. But when we went in there, it just so happened that he was teaching a teaching called White Tara, and my name is Tara. So the first thing he said to me was, you're here for White Tara. And I said, well, I didn't know I was, but I guess I am. And so meeting him was like playing with your brother. He's so innocent and he's so welcoming. He makes you feel like you're his family, which is what bodhisattvas do. And he just talked with us like, how are you? What's your life like? And I asked him, I said, what's the fastest way to enlightenment? He said, you are. So that's what I say to everyone else. He says, if you were looking at me for a reason, you need to look at that reason for yourself. Meaning, yeah, you look at me because I'm an enlightened being, but so are you, and you can get there.
So can you tell me more about the White Tara thing?
White Tara, well, there's a story of Wanchurian Bodhisattva who was sitting up on a magic mountain called Mount Meru. And she was looking down over the mountain and she saw all the people just making mistakes all over the place. No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't help them enough. As soon as she'd help them out, they'd jump right back in again. And she became very sad. A tear ran down her cheek and landed on the ground, and that became White Tara. A tear rolled down this cheek and landed on the ground, and that became Green Tara. And the two Taras turned to Wanchurian and said, we will help you with your work. Don't cry, beloved one. We will help you with your work. And from that time on, that vow was kept. And White Tara is she's the mother. Green Tara is more the young girl, ready to help. And White Tara is the mother, taking care of her children. She is the one that they pray to the most in Tibet, White Tara, because she's the one that protects the Tibetan people. That's the way they feel about her.
Have you ever met someone who had zero karma left? If so, how were they different from the rest of us?
Well, His Holiness the Dalai Lama he may have had a little bit of positive karma. You can do that when you're, enlightened. He was like no separation between him and me, or him and anyone. He's so sweet, and he resonates love, resonates caring. But not all enlightened beings are the same. We have the peaceful deities, who is like His Holiness, and then we have the wrathful deities, who have different energies. Not everybody, there are tough people that the wrathful entities have to slap her a little bit. And so there's two different kinds, but you never really know who the enlightened beings are that you're coming in contact with. So you have to always be careful of that, because they might be there to test you. They might be there to teach you a lesson. So you could have the meanest person. If that's a lesson you need to learn, then they'll give it to you.
What kind of tests will they conduct? Have you ever experienced any?
Yes, like if I know it happens to me sometimes that I don't want to do something. Well, then I'm pushed into it, and not always in a nice way. Or maybe someone needs to learn respect, because I find in the United States specifically, people don't know what respect means at all. I've had, people talk to their parents in a terrible way, terrible, that I would never speak to my mother the way some people do. And maybe it's just a lesson that needs to be learned of how you treat people. It's hard to tell with enlightened beings. They have a different mindset than we do. So you always treat everyone with respect, then you're okay.
In India, we treat our parents like God.
Yes, I know you do. I've been to India not many times, 3 times. And I know I've never seen any disrespect that way. But in the United States, there's a lot of it. People killing their parents.
Maybe they have some kind of karma left, bad karma.
Yes, maybe they do.
Next question. Are past life memories an obstacle or a key to enlightenment? Can remembering too much of our past distract us from the present moment?
Most people do not remember their past lives. Most people. I've had little flashes, but I don't remember that much of my past lives. And I remember talking with my teacher about that, because I have a friend who says she remembers all of her past lives. And he told me, I know I don't remember my past lives either. He said, I know that I went through a lot of pain and a lot of kind of horrible times in my past. And I don't want to really relive that. And I thought that was a very wise thing. Why relive it? Resolve it, but you don't need to relive it. Because you're right. If you remember things, you might have too many thoughts, and too many thoughts are going to create more karma.
What glimpses did you have about your past life?
I had glimpses of when the Buddha was alive, and also when Jesus Christ was alive. I was there during both of those times. And really, that's about all I remember. But I just remember the crucifixion, and I remember when the Buddha died. I don't know what the purpose was for me to remember that, but I remember both.
So that could be the reason because you chose this path. The
Could
past
be.
life influence could be stronger in this life.
Could be. Or if you take a vow for many lifetimes to help, then you're going to end up in places where your help is needed. Either way, I can't say which one, but a lot of things could happen. And we never know it till we get to that place that we can see everything.
My next question is suffering always necessary for enlightenment, or can someone awaken without pain?
Someone can awaken without pain, but it rarely happens. Even the Buddha, when he came to this world, he suffered. Now, I believe he suffered to show us how to get out of our suffering, but he still suffered. You know, he suffered with many things. He was born in a kingdom. He was a prince, and he saw all the suffering in the world, and he could not sit there. He just got married. He just had a new baby, and he cared for everyone. So he couldn't just sit there in luxury. He had to find a way around birth and death and sickness and, death and all that. And so he ventured out of the kingdom, and he came across some ascetics that were meditating. The only food they had was what people offered. He suffered. He almost died because he was starving. Well, then he realized that the answer was not in the luxury. The answer was not in the suffering. The answer was in the middle path. And that's how he became enlightened. That night, he sat down and he said, I will not get back up until I am fully enlightened. And he did. So suffering is what makes people stop and take pause.
Could someone be born enlightened, or must everyone go through the journey?
Well, the Buddha was born, he was enlightened. And I believe that we have an enlightened nature with us that comes to us at birth. And when the Buddha was born, he stood up and took some steps, which is not normal. But most of us have to find our way through life, and find our way through the suffering, and find out what method works for us. So 99.9% people have to go through this. It just depends on how fast you can realize things. And the reason you spend time alone is to be able to have time to realize it. When you're busy with your work and your family and all that, it's hard to be able to sit and do anything. So having a little time alone, and really good to be in nature, which is not always easy for everybody.
What is the biggest misconceptions about enlightenment that keep people stuck?
In the Buddhist sutras, Christianity doesn't talk about enlightenment. Two different things. So in the Buddhist realm, in the Heart Sutra, they say, go to the furthest shore, go down the furthest shore, all the way to the other side. Go against the current, and you will find enlightenment. Well, what does that mean? It's very symbolic. What does it mean? Well, that is the biggest thing that Buddhist students are stuck on. They don't know what that means.
Chakras. Or
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean by you swim against the current. You don't do what everybody else does, right? But in the sutra, it tells you, gati gati paragati parasam gati bodhisvaha. That means go to the other shore. Go all the way, go to the farthest shore, and you'll find enlightenment. Well, what does that mean? It's symbolic, but how do you, step one, step two? You don't know. And unless you can find an enlightened teacher, which I did find, you're not going to find out because you're too busy trying to figure out what it means. So you have to have someone guide you. And that's why I wrote the second book. The second book, Free the Mind, for those who are truly ready. It's for those serious students that truly can't take it anymore. They can't take this physical existence only anymore. It's just too hard. So here you can step one, step two, step three. And once again, I'm going to say, I did not write it. I wrote the book, but I did not write the principles. They were given to me by an enlightened being, not me. I'd never be able to come up with that.
if enlightenment is about breaking free from illusions, what is the greatest illusion most people still believe?
That's a great question there. Most people believe when they look out their window, right now, I'm looking at trees, rocks, my driveway. People believe that that's real, but it's not real. The only thing that is real real is the Buddha mind, the pure mind. Everything else changes. You know, this is summer here in the United States. By the fall, the trees will change. Sooner or later, those trees are going to die. Even the rocks are going to disintegrate at some point. There's nothing in this world that I look at or smell or taste that is permanent. And that means they're not real. People get stuck because they think this world is real. And
Illusion.
an illusion, absolutely. It is all a big dream. It is. I've heard people say that before, and they're right, because the only way we can see through this is to realize, here's what. The reason we get stuck is because we see our cultural rules or our religious rules as real. They're not. They're not real. They will change. They change all the time. I call that training wheels, is what I call it. The government culture, all the rules that are made to keep the culture like peaceful or try to, and then the religious rules that try to keep the congregation peaceful. I don't say anything bad about that. I mean, I know why the rules are there, to keep everyone even and on a good track, a positive track. But people then take it too seriously. Like if I'm a very staunch Christian and you say something about God, oh my gosh, I am going to react very badly to that, because they think that the whole religious experience is real. Now, I'm not saying God is not real. I'm saying the rules are not real. The rules were not written by God. Well, some of them were, but the rules were not written by an enlightened being. They're written by other human beings who are our peers. So we shouldn't take the rules too seriously. We just say, these are the rules of the culture. I have to follow them because I don't want to get thrown in jail. But they're not so serious about it, that you're not violating something from me because you don't follow my rule. See what I mean? It's hard to explain, but you don't say you're not going to follow the rules because you'll be punished. You will. But you just realize that the rules were made by a group of peers.
Yes.
Okay, I have to follow it, but I don't take offense if someone doesn't agree with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens that you are explaining something great, so I'm just imagining how the situation is like, and then suddenly I'm lost in thoughts.
That's fine.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, good. Good.
Okay, my next question is, do enlightened beings like Buddha, Krishna, or Jesus still have personal karma to resolve, or are they above it?
I think they do because they have to have a reason to come here. But there's a beauty of them showing their disciples how to get out of that. You know, like let's just say Christ. I'm more familiar with him. So yes, he came here with some karma just to keep him here. And then he showed others how to resolve it. Now, in Christianity, we don't really talk about karma much, but it's still there. And I remember, I told you I remember his death. I remember him the night before saying, I don't want to do this. And I said to him, well, I don't want you to do it either. But that he had to do. That was the plan. There's always a plan. When enlightened beings come to this earth, there's always a plan. Why, what they have to do, what audience do they need to speak from? It's really all enlightened energy. It's just they're different people to appeal to different groups. That's all.
So all these enlightened beings go through a lot of suffering also.
Sometimes they do. I'm sure that Christ went through suffering on the cross. I'm sure, a very painful experience.
And Buddha too went into,
And Buddha really had he
and Krishna
actually,
also.
really, well, the Buddha actually died because he was giving a lesson to his cousin. His cousin was his attendant, and his cousin was very lazy. And the Buddha asked him to go get some water out of the stream. And he went to the stream, and there was a water buffalo who had died right up from where he was. And he knew that he should go upstream more, but he was too lazy. So he got the water that was rancid, gave it to the Buddha. The Buddha died. And the Buddha was willing to die to teach him the lesson of not being lazy. And not just for the physical world, but not to be lazy in his quest for enlightenment. That's the more important thing.
Buddha was also an animal in his previous incarnations.
The
Also,
Buddha? Oh, many. In
elephant.
fact, there's a book called, I forget what it's called, Tales of the Buddha when he was an animal. Many.
What is the most bizarre experience you have encountered where someone awakened instantly?
There were 5 students. This was many years ago when I just started teaching. And I really wasn't even teaching Free the Mind the way I teach now. It was just the very beginning. And we were sitting out in my backyard and we were meditating. And I had taken them through a meditation. And I opened my eyes and I looked around, and there were 3 rabbits all around us. There were a couple squirrels, and a hawk was sitting in the tree above us. And I thought, well, now this is interesting. Why did these animals come here? And I said to the students, okay, now let's come out of the meditation very slowly. And when one of them opened their eyes, I immediately saw them spark. And I knew what it was. They had become enlightened at that very moment. And their face changed. Everything changed about them. It was very, very amazing for me. And the animals were there to witness it.
Why do you feel the animals arrived there?
Well, if you look in Christ's birth, who was around him? Animals. When he was born, animals were around him. I think it's just the innocent animal mind. They know. They just know something amazing is going to happen. They're very intuitive. My whole time I was, trying to find my way, I had animals around me. I had deer that would eat out of my hand, apples. I would have birds eat out of my hand. I had birds fly on my head and sit there. I don't know what it is about the enlightened mind when you are pursuing it. They know somehow. They're attracted to it.
They are
That's
drawn
why-
to your vibration.
Yes, you're right. And that's why it makes me so upset when people harm animals. I don't allow that in nobody harms an animal in my presence. That's not going to happen. They're very innocent and loving. So I think they know that there's a certain, I used to feed big herds of turkeys. I don't know if you call them herds, but big flocks of turkeys. And I mean, there were like 100 turkeys, maybe between 50 and 100 turkeys at different times. And people would say to me, you better be careful. Those male turkeys can really hurt you. They never made a move. They never did. They were as peaceful as could be. Same way with the deer. And I was in Colorado at the time, and the deer there had huge antlers. They were mule deer. They used to come and try to get peanuts out of my pocket and take apples out of my hand. And people would say, you have to be careful when they're mating because they get very aggressive. Never have they gotten aggressive. I lived with honeybees that were on my porch. Never bothered me. We lived in total peace. Then one day, one stung me. And I didn't understand it, but I said, okay, he misunderstood. I'm not trying to hurt him. And then the next day, another one stung me. And I thought, well, I better do something about this. So I called a beehive person, what do you call them, beekeeper. And I asked them to come and look at this and tell me maybe they could take the bees away and put them in their house because they had beehives. So I thought maybe they could just, peacefully take them there. And when they came, the bees, you should have seen it. They attacked them. I mean, viciously. And they did have the suits on. So the guy, when he was done, he said, I can take them away, but you have the most aggressive African bees I've ever seen. They'll kill you. He said, Tara, they'll kill you. And I said, well, they haven't killed me. And it turned out that I had a hive of 60,000 bees, and they were all African bees, and they were very, very vicious. But they didn't hurt me. They stung me once, I don't know why, but they did. But animals know that I will not hurt them. So they know the energy there. Never harm them.
So animals will only approach people who are having a good vibration and avoid those who have a bad vibration.
Yes. They're very intuitive that way.
So they will hide or something like that. It's a possibility.
They will. Mm-hmm.
Can a person be spiritually enlightened but still bound by karma in the material world?
No. If they're enlightened, they're not bound by karma.
How? Please explain about it.
Oh, well, if they're enlightened, that means that in order to become enlightened, that means your mind has to be very light. And in order to have a light mind, you cannot have any negative karma. It all has to be resolved. You can have a little bit of positive karma, but this is one note. You can't have a lot of positive karma either, because positive karma, although it's lighter than negative karma, it still has weight. So the goal is to get to neutral karma, which means not negative and not positive. That means no emotion involved. So
then how can we say that we are living in a modern world? So we have to do our daily chores, but we are not attached to the outcome
right,
of the thing. But
that's very good.
can we go into a path of enlightenment and still live in this material world?
Yes, absolutely.
So then
That's what the Buddha did.
Can we become an enlightened being in that way? If we are still serving people, doing good for others, but are not attached to our karma, like we are performing our actions, but we don't care about the rewards.
Right. If there's no emotional upheaval, there's no karma. So you can go along your daily activity and just don't react.
But not reacting is also a part of karma, I feel, that we are deciding whether to react or not react.
No
Because
decision.
karma is action. Karma
Well,
is
but every time you make a decision, that is the ego mind, not the pure mind. So if you just choose not to react, you're not reacting one way or the other.
because breathing is also a part of karma. Like we are breathing, we are performing any action, like we are walking, we are talking, or we are expressing. That is also karma. Because if we are doing something, any act, even if I wave my hand, that's also a karma. Because that
Well,
is my doing, my action, which will
but
cause some kind of
according
reaction.
to my teachings that I've learned, I don't want to say you're wrong or right, or I'm right or wrong. I'm saying that according to what I've learned from this being, karma only takes place in the mind, not in the hand, not in the action, and not in the words. If you think about it, karma is a spark. You either, like when you create karma, you have either a negative spark or a positive spark or a neutral spark. It's not that you really retain, I hit that person in the face, and that's why I have this negative karma. It's not like that. It's just your eighth consciousness, which you take with you at the time of death, that's all filled with sparks. And it's either heavy or light. So when you say you raise your hand, as far as I'm concerned, that is not creating karma. The only place you can create karma is in the mind. That's the only place where electrical sparks can take place anyway. This body is just blood and bone and material. It's not mind.
What if someone utters abusive words? Isn't it karma?
If you believe it is, yes. But it's really for you.
Don't you think that it comes back? Like karma backfires or something, it comes back and
You
haunts
mean
the
like if
person.
you hit someone, they come back and someone hits you? Is that what you
There are
mean?
many stories like that I have heard. That one of them is like there was a guy who got very angry, and he came out of the office because he heard nasty things from the boss. He went to the shopkeeper and slapped him. Okay, and the shopkeeper was very angry. Then he slapped his wife, and the wife slapped the child. Okay, and the child went to a dog nearby and kicked him because he was too young to hit a grown-up person. And the dog was very angry. The first person he found was the guy who came out of the office and bit him. So this is like it goes around and comes around
It
thing.
can. It can do that. Because if the very first person that hit or whatever, if they felt very bad about it, it's gonna create karma in them. And the energy of that karma is gonna stay in a circle. It can do that. But you wanna not have that happen. Like if you're the person that got slapped, you want it to stop there. You
So
don't want to go hit someone else, right?
so the dog came back to find that person only. Why the dog could not choose anyone else?
Who knows? I mean, that dog might have had another life with that person. Like you're just looking at this present life, but you don't know what happened in the last life or thousands of lives again. Like right now, I have a friend of mine who is deathly afraid of dogs. All she has to do is see one and she's so scared. Well, there's no rational reason why she should be afraid. She's never been attacked by a dog, but we don't know what happened in another life. She probably was attacked by a dog and she still has that karma inside. That karma's still there.
Because I have also seen many Buddhist stories on YouTube also. They say that how it goes around and comes around. Like you do a good deed, like you do charity or something like that, and great amount of wealth comes back to you because you are into good things. So the universe gifts you with abundance. Like some
That's
people
called
are
a blessing.
like some people are born rich in this world and some people are born poor. This could be possibly due to the past life bad karma or the blessings they have. They don't have enough blessings that make them rich.
I believe that. I believe that people who are very, very wealthy, like Elon Musk, do you know who he is? No? Or president of a country. They have a lot of blessing. When you come in with a lot of blessing, you kind of choose how you're going to use it. You can be the president of a country. You can be wealthy like Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world. Or you can become enlightened. You can use that blessing to become enlightened. I remember my teacher told me, I went to, as I said, I went to India, and I was also in Nepal, and I went into this one, well, I don't know what you'd call it. It was a cave where a sage had meditated for a long time, and I was bowing, and she looked at me and she said, you'll never be poor." And I said, "What?" She said, "You will never be poor because you have bowed to so many Buddhas in the past, and the blessing from that is what will make you never poor." Well, I'm not poor. I'm not rich. But when you choose to use your blessing, you can choose how to use it, is my point. So right now, I'm choosing to use my blessing to help others, to write the book, to come here, and speak with you, whatever I can do. Because enlightenment, people don't realize it. They worry about their everyday jobs and their families, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, because everybody has to live. But they're really here to work their karma out. They're really here to become enlightened, to walk the path to enlightenment, and they don't spend much time on it mostly.
Does reaching enlightenment mean losing all attachment, including love and relationships?
There's a tough one right there. A lot of times it does. And it's not that you lose it. It's just like relationships and love. No, especially love. You love more. You love more purely. But when it comes to relationships, relationships are kind of selfish in a way. Like, I want you and I want you to want me. But once the enlightened mind, once you reach that, it's not like you just want one person. You want to help everyone. You love everyone in a certain way, like your brother or your sister, and you just want to help them. So relationships is a very human thing, human emotion. And in order to become enlightened, one has to step beyond that, beyond human emotions. Because human emotions, what does that do? Creates karma.
So, can we perform our duties in a detached way?
I would say it's not detached though, in a neutral way. Neutral.
What if you are bound by duties like you have towards your parents or your family members, and you are still into a path of enlightenment? How would you fulfill that?
Well, you would always take care of your family, but your family grows. It's not just this little piece. Now it's this. Whoever needs help.
So, enlightened beings will help others first, like their family, near ones, and
Yes,
others.
they will help. They see everyone as their family, everyone. And they're familiar with everyone. Nobody's a stranger, you know?
So, one doesn't need to leave their homes and become a sage to be enlightened.
No. Now, the Buddha did, because he was trying to show that the lap of luxury was not the answer. So he left there, and then the being poor is not the answer either. It was a teaching. He had a teaching time, and he realized, and he taught it. It was called the middle path to enlightenment, not too abundant, not too poor, middle path, which is the path of least resistance.
So, people are like manifesting wealth and believing in law of attraction. Do you think all these things are real in the sense of is it possible to do it? We can manifest anything, any life, anything we want, or is it a part of our karma? Do you believe that only karma can decide what kind of life we can achieve, or is
Well,
manifestation fake or real according to you?
you can manifest the life you want. However, if you have a lot of karma, you're going to have a hard time manifesting, because manifesting is having a free mind. People can manifest whatever they want, but you talked about being stuck in the illusion of the world, that this is my house, this is my wife, this is my son, this is my daughter, this is my mother, this is mine. That is what keeps us from being able to manifest. But anyone's capable. And so I say to people, if you're capable of manifesting, then why don't you just manifest enlightenment? And they all look at me just like you are. Okay, they can. Everyone can do that. Manifest enlightenment like that. That's why I wrote the book, and that's why I teach. Because many times when the teaching's over, Actually, there's many times when I'm teaching that I usually do 10 classes. Well, after 3 classes, then I'll notice there's less people in the class. And then after maybe the 5th class, there's less people in the class. Oh, I know what's happening here. And then by the 10th class, there's a lot of less people in the class. And I say to them, well, why didn't you come? I know what you're talking about. I understand and I'm working on it. That's perfect.
So, does our past life karma hinder us from manifesting the life we want? Like, suppose someone is born poor, but it's not always possible that the person can become rich because of the circumstances, or a part of it could be a part of their collective karma, because that is not their individual karma, their parents or their
You
siblings.
know about collective karma. That's impressive. Go ahead.
So, the place they are born in, their parents, their siblings, and everyone near them, they also will be carrying some kind of karma of their own. So, that will always impact the life of that individual also, and stop them from manifesting the life that they want or reaching any kind of enlightenment also, because they'll become a roadblock. It's quite a
That
possibility.
is true. That is the time when you decide, I have to change something. I have to go off by myself. Or I'm not telling anyone to leave their family and go off by themselves. I'm just saying, when you're in a situation like that, in order to get unstuck, you have to change something. And it could be you just change the way you think. You can do it. It's harder when you're around people, but you can just put a stake in the ground and say, look, I'm not reacting anymore. I realize that this world is not real. It's all an illusion. So why get upset about it? Would you get upset about a dream? Well, maybe when you first woke up, but then you realize it's a dream and you say, oh, it's just a dream.
The
Well,
problem is many people think that they are unlucky. That is the
they're
only major
unlucky.
problem. Many people think. In this
They're
world, I
unlucky.
feel that I am the luckiest person in this world. I feel, because I have got great family, great parents, and a good financial background. Everything is perfect in my life. But it's not the same case with everyone. They are not getting enough opportunities in this life. So they are making extra efforts as compared to people who are a little privileged. So that's what I was asking, that there are some people who will work 10 times harder than people who work only a little bit harder. So
Well, it all
what would
depends
you
on
say
what you're
about it?
working at.
Anything.
Depends on what
For
you're working at.
example, there are two people who are studying a particular subject. So one person may not require much effort to learn something, another person may require 10 times more effort to learn that particular chapter. Why does that happen?
That's blessing. You must have a lot of blessing, because if you feel that your life is really good and you have everything you need and you have a wonderful family, then you have a lot of blessing. And that came from the past. The way you saw the world and the things that you did in the past. You might have been a spiritual teacher in the past. You might have been a person who serves humanity in the past. And that's why you have a really good life. The people that don't have a good life, well, then they have to ask themselves, why don't I? Why don't I? What can I do right now to change that?
So there are
And
some
they
kind of
can.
karmic relationships also, like someone is poor, okay, and they suddenly get married to a rich family out of some kind of ambition, okay, like they want to live a rich lifestyle. They kind of fool others also, like the person they marry, they will pretend that they love them, okay. So that's how karmic relationships might proceed, okay. So after marrying, do you think they'll be truly happy? Because the intention was never love, the intention was to grab money or something like that. and
Well, it
after
depends on,
and
I'm
after that
sorry.
also and after that also they are not happy. What could be the case? Did they do some
Well,
good karma to manifest a rich life? or did they do some bad karma to suffer in that life also? Because it's all mixed up.
Well, let's say they got married. Um, one person because of money and the other person because the woman was beautiful. Okay. If they're content with that relationship, fine. But happiness, I like to talk more about contentment than happiness, because happiness is like this: happy, sad, happy, sad. We want it to be like this. So once again, a human emotion is happy and sad. And that, both of those will create karma. Any emotion will create karma, either negative or positive.
So you feel this is not a blessing, or it's a curse, some kind of curse, because they had an ambition, they got into it, but they didn't want to stick into it or create chaos or something like that.
Well, we don't know about the certain people. They might have done that in a past life. And when they met, they fell into it again.
Because sometimes when you get everything, still you are unhappy and still you are dissatisfied, what could it
Right.
mean?
It means that happiness is not the answer. Contentment is the answer. Happiness, every time happiness, you're going to have sad.
So these people are not enlightened beings
Oh, no, no.
because they already got what they wanted. They wanted a rich husband, they got it. And still they are dissatisfied with everything. They don't like, they complain, they want to involve the in laws into everything. And
They got what they wanted from a physical aspect, but that
so it's
doesn't mean,
kind of bad karma.
well, I can't speak for them. I don't know. If they were happy with the relationship, yeah, they were fine. But if now they're unhappy, that means they're creating negative karma.
Because in this digital age, I have seen that people are kind of targeting others, like they are learning everything about a certain person, and then
Right,
they are pretending to be something they are not these days.
right.
Like, suppose, example, you are a non vegetarian person, and then you already know that I'm a vegetarian, and you come to me and say that I'm a vegetarian and I am into spirituality, and you already copy whatever I do, like whatever I like. So that is kind of fakeness people are kind of creating when they're getting in touch with anyone. So I don't understand what kind of karma they are creating to get something.
Well, once again, it depends. Like if I'm a vegetarian, so when I go to someone's house, I don't eat meat, right? Well, if they want to acclimate the meal to me, that's fine with me. They don't have to, though. But in a way, because I'm a vegetarian, it gives them a moment to consider, well, I wonder why she's a vegetarian. And then they'll say to me, why are you? I'll say, because I'm not going to allow myself to have animals killed so I can eat them. That puts a little seed in their mind that, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat meat. I've had a friend of mine one time. I always make people like take spiders outside. Don't kill it. Do not kill that spider. Take them outside. It's all right. Well, I've had a guy call me one time and said, I thought of you the other day, Tara. I found a spider in my corner and I took him out. That is that is what I'm here for. Now that man is considering that spider deserves to have a life also. That life is just as important to that spider than his life is to him. That's a powerful seed that's planted. So if a person is pretending to be a vegetarian when they're around a person who is a vegetarian, I think that's just fine because that plants the seed. Now, if they're trying to get something out of that other person, well, then that's shame on them. But that person doesn't have to give them anything.
The younger
Right?
generation is now kind of pretending all the time. Like they are engaged into a lot of fakeness. Like they are targeting people and trying to become something they are not.
But
And
maybe
get
they
into
can
their
get,
domain. to get into their domain, and later they change. After some time,
That
they get their
that's always going to be.
benefits. They get their benefits for some time, and then they change.
That's human nature. I'm
And then
sorry to
they,
say.
then you
That's
will
why
see them. Then you will see them meet some other time.
sure, that's human nature, unfortunately. Humans are very vindictive at times, very, out for themselves. They can be that way. So,
To get something, they can pretend very easily.
yeah, they can.
So these people cannot be enlightened easily in this lifetime.
Well, we can't say that.
Because what would you say about people who lie or cheat or do fake promises, or what? What would you say about that?
Well, from a cultural standpoint, that's a negative.
Karmic standpoint.
Karmic standpoint, if they have an enlightened mind, it doesn't matter.
We cannot say that if someone has an enlightened mind, they will cheat or make fake promises.
Can't really
to
say
others.
that. Because remember, enlightenment is outside of morals. It doesn't
Because
operate
what do you
inside
say?
morals.
What do you think? Like Buddha will never cheat or lie, okay? Or Dalai Lama will not do that because they know that we are beyond the body and the mind. So
That's
we
right.
should, if an enlightened being does things that can affect others easily,
True.
they are not enlightened in true sense because
Well,
they will think that everyone should live in bliss. And
yes, but remember that story I told you about the master who killed the fish and ate them? If there's an enlightened being involved, you don't know what the purpose is. And they don't create karma because their mind doesn't, their
get into all
emotions don't
this.
arise.
But in this material world, people do all sorts of things.
Right.
So they are creating consciously these kind of karma. Because if you are doing something not out of consciousness, then that is not negative karma. But you are consciously doing something, then it creates a bad karma for sure.
Well, it depends on what your state of mind is whenever it's happening. You don't really know nobody knows your mind. Nobody knows my mind. That's why it's a beautiful thing that we can change our mind and nobody knows anything. They can't talk us out of it. They can't reprimand us. They can't say, oh, you're an idiot, you're stupid. The mind is private. So we don't know what these people are doing. When most of the time, if they're doing negative things, it's going to be negative karma for them. But not always. It depends. It just depends.
Because affecting others is a kind of negative karma also.
Maybe. What if they are one of the people that it is affecting? What if they need that lesson in order to move forward?
To become stronger.
Yes.
That could also be possible due to their past life thing.
Right. Right.
Okay. My next question is, what is the one thing no one tells you about enlightenment that could change everything?
They don't tell you how to do it. They don't tell you how to get there. Step 1, step 2, they don't do it. That's why I was told to teach Free the Mind and to write the book, because that tells you how to do it. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy. I tell everybody it's so simple, but it ain't easy. And it's not easy because of our habits and because of our preconceived notions and because we think that our culture is right and other cultures are wrong. And we think our religion is right and other religions are wrong. That thinking is what stops us, because that is more from the physical world, not the true mind. That's the ego mind. So even whenever I walk people through it step by step, they struggle because of the way they were raised and their past karma.
My next question is, can two souls be so entangled that one person's enlightenment pulls the other out of the cycle as well?
Yes.
Like how?
Well, remember how you were saying that one person fakes to be with another and then they're not real? Well, You know what have they in the US they say fake it until you make it. If you have an enlightened person that you spend time with, that light rubs off. It rubs off. You see how that person reacts. You see how they view the world. And hopefully they are stronger than your pull. Their pull is stronger than yours. So if the enlightened being has really strong pull, they'll pull that person to them. And that's really positive for them. Sometimes, you don't want it to go the other way. But usually if you're around an enlightened being and you watch the way they are, you watch the way they do things and the way that they live their life, then you get the keys to how to do that, how to walk to enlightenment.
If enlightenment frees a person from karma, why do some enlightened masters seem to suffer physically?
Because the physical body is the physical body. That was my question. Believe me, I had that question to my teacher. He was telling me about this high master who got cancer. And I said to him, Rinpoche, if he has an enlightened mind, then I would think the light would keep him from getting a disease like that. And he said, no. The physical body breaks down. That's it. The physical body will do that. So
manifestation can heal us or not?
it can, unless our path, who knows what his reason was? We don't know. As an enlightened being, he might have had a reason of getting cancer to help someone else or to show that he's not going to be afraid. We don't know.
Is it a part of bad karma, or is it due to some other case that they suffered from some kind of disease?
Well, that's what my question to my teacher was. Is this karma that he has to pay off? And he said, it might be, it may be, but I think it's just the physical decay of the body.
Because everyone who's an enlightened soul has some kind of bad ending sometimes.
Sometimes, just like the Pope almost died. Now, he's the head of the Catholic religion. And I would hope that people would not say that he has negative karma. I mean, I don't know that, but he almost died. So the body's going to die at some point, and there's no way around it.
One controversial question, like some people are victims of rape or assault. Do you think they have some kind of negative karma?
I think like attracts like. So unfortunately, it may have been thousands of lifetimes before, but somehow they got into that condition. And what they can think about now is resolving the karma that's there so that they don't have to go through it again. And if you're a victim, it's a little hard to do that. But if you can resolve inside yourself that I forgive that person that did it to me, I forgive myself for the way I felt, anger, there is a way to resolve that. And go on to a bigger thing, like, so that you never have to go through it again, never have to suffer again.
What about the rapist that did this heinous act?
Well, it depends on how he feels about it. If he feels horrible, he's got terrible karma. And unfortunately, if he doesn't feel that way, he may not have terrible karma. Because karma is created through emotion.
But the law of the country will not let him live peacefully.
Oh, no. No, he will have to suffer. I mean, he's going to have to suffer through jail, right? Or death. So he will physically suffer in some way or another. And he'll probably be very angry because he's incarcerated. And that's going to create negative karma for him.
Okay. Is enlightenment a permanent state, or can someone fall back into ignorance?
I believe that it is a permanent state, but I also believe that if you're an enlightened being, you will do whatever you have to do to help your children. So if you have to create a little karma to come back into something, and into a situation, you'll do it. Not for yourself, but for them.
What role does free will play in enlightenment? Or is it all preordained by karma?
It's not preordained. Now, with the Buddha or Christ or Krishna, our religious leaders, I believe it was preordained. But for us normal people, there's the enlightened path. Let's say it's this long. Well, first lifetime you got this far, then you went back a little, then you went this far. Everybody's at a different place. So when you come into this lifetime, you proceed. How much you proceed, we don't know. You might go back if you don't take it seriously. So we don't know where anybody is on that path. We don't even know where we are on that path until we reach enlightenment. Then we know we're there.
I have a question. Is free will stronger than destiny?
No. I have asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama this question. I said, do we have free will? He said, very small. He said that we think we have free will, but our destiny really does make up most of our life, like our previous karma, where we are on the path, how serious we're taking our path. Free will is human and it's very small. Like which toothpaste do I use is what he told me. And I said, I thought I had a lot of free will. He said, toothpaste. That's what he said to me. I asked him the same question. We like to think we have free will, that we can do whatever we want. We do. The more bright our mind is, the more we can manifest. That is true. Like when you free your mind, you can manifest. Your mind is clearer. And the clearer your mind is, the more you can manifest. You have to have a free mind in order to manifest.
Is marriage a part of free will or karma?
Marriage? Well, I would say karma.
Like how?
Because anything human, emotion is karma.
So if it's in the destiny that someone would get married, okay. If in this lifetime, it's already written, if it's that case, can free will alter that?
It can if you have a free mind. But you have to have a clear mind in order to change your destiny.
But you said it's very bleak chance to change it, very less chance to change our karma.
No, not if you have a free mind. That's what the teaching's all about. If you can free your mind of all this garbage, we have this beautiful diamond inside of us. It's the Buddha heart, the Buddha nature. It's beautiful, it's pristine. But we've covered it up with garbage called karma. So it's still there. We have to uncover it. And when we can uncover it, we can manifest anything we want. Enlightenment, you can do anything you want. Then you have free will.
Can spirituality thrive in the material world?
Yes. But most people who have a free mind are not concerned with materiality. Now, you have to have money to live. We know that. But people who are very, very wealthy, they're more concerned about the physical world than the spiritual world. I know a master who his family was very wealthy. And when his father, he inherited millions and he gave it away. Or one thing he did was he built a monastery. I'm not sure where, but he built a monastery and built a nunnery. That's what you see with spiritual people, like free people. They don't hold on to money for themselves. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just sharing that is usually what happens.
Some spiritual leaders are also rich.
Sure. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, he's he's wealthy in a way, because like with my teacher was the Rinpoche for a certain region in Tibet. Well, that makes him very wealthy, but he's not allowed in there. The Chinese government won't let him go back. So what the wealth is there, but it's not benefiting him. So what he's doing with the wealth is building nunneries, building monasteries, giving, medicine. I went with him to give medicine to the nomadic people in the country. He uses the money for others. That's usually what happens.
So, do you think there is any shortcut to enlightenment?
Yeah, free the mind.
How can someone free the mind?
My book tells you how to free your mind. I teach that. I teach how to free the mind. It's very easy, but it's very difficult because people are so stuck in what they are familiar with that it's hard to let go of habits. Hard. If you can let go of your habits and all the thoughts that your culture and you are right, everyone's wrong, everyone else is wrong, or this is the right way to do it. This is good and this is bad. If you can let go of all that, you will become enlightened. That is for true. But it's hard for most people to let go of that.
So, what about meditation? What would you say about that?
Meditation is very good to try to slow down the thoughts. It's also a way to enter into the pure mind. Remember, I told you of the pure mind, then you have the ego mind. The pure mind is like a big database of celestial information. And if you can tap into that, then your mind is free. It's totally free because there's nothing else to get in the way.
When you close your eyes, what do you experience?
Usually when I close my eyes, I see stars. I see ever since I was a kid, I would see stars entering and then it would go like this and it'd be all over. Now, I don't know when I get to that point, I feel like I can see many things. I feel like I'm totally at peace and centered and anything's possible.
Do you travel to different universes while your eyes are closed?
I have been told that I did. I don't know what happens when that happens. I can't tell that I'm somewhere else, but I've been told by my teacher that I do that. And she says that she does that with me. So, but I don't experience it. A lot of people do. A lot of people say they go all kinds of places. And if they truly are doing that, then they're tapping into the pure mind.
So, can they tap into the third eye chakra?
Yeah, that's what that is. Mm-hmm. You're tapping into the third eye, which connects you to the pure mind.
So, has your third eye chakra opened?
I don't say that I have any realization.
Still,
But
you might be feeling something because you have had a tremendous experiences. You have met great people. You have a great aura. So, I would like to know more about that too.
Well, I think that everyone has that opportunity. But see, when you're so busy, you don't have time to do that. And I like going outside at night and just sitting under the stars. I live out in the mountains. And when you sit out like that, it feels like you can go anywhere in the universe. And I have had very beautiful realizations sitting out like that. But when your life is too busy, like I have a friend who tells me he can't even text me at a certain time because he's too busy. Well, that makes me very sad. We should never be that busy or we'll never. And he has a lot of blessing. He's very wealthy. If we don't take time for our own spiritual development, then why are we living in this world? It makes no sense. Because when the body dies and you've spent your whole life accumulating wealth, what are you going to do now? You wasted a lifetime. You may have been a huge success in this lifetime as a physical world, but whenever you die, people are going to forget you, and you have not walked your spiritual path.
Some people think that spirituality is possible for people who already have a settled life, or are wealthy, or have no sorts of responsibilities. They think like that. Some people.
Well, it is easier when you have, like with me, my daughter is already grown and I'm not married. So I can go anywhere I want and I can do whatever I want. So it's easier for me, but I had to choose that path. And I did. I chose that path many years ago. And my daughter was, she was not grown at that point. So it hurt a bit to be away from her, but I knew I had to do it. I just somehow knew in my heart I had to do it for both of us, for all of us. And I made a choice. And that's what one has to do. What's more important to me? Now, there's times like when you're young, you have a marriage, you have children, and you're cultivating your job. But then you move into another phase, and it's your turn now to look at the spiritual aspect of your life. That's what happened. I was a little older. And the Buddha did that, but the Buddha did it in the worst possible time. He left his wife with a newborn baby. But he just had to go. And he did come back to her and apologize for what he did to her. I should have never left you with a baby like that. He did. But sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
Otherwise, we'll not discover our path.
That's right. And if our path, which it should be to become enlightened, that means we will be benefiting everyone, not just a few people. And hopefully they'll understand. Maybe not.
So, my next question is there something beyond enlightenment? If enlightenment is the goal, what happens after that?
Enlightenment is the ultimate goal. And then after that, you choose what you want to do. Do you want to sit in meditation all the time and just in bliss? Okay, you do whatever you want. There's a lot of different paths there. If you take the Bodhisattva path, that means that you'll come back and help living beings.
So, what do you feel about afterlife? Is there any afterlife, or does reincarnation happen instantly? What opinions do you have about that?
So do you mean an afterlife like heaven?
Heaven and hell, whatever. Do you think it exists in the earth itself, or do we go there after we die?
It depends on what you believe. I have an aunt that was a staunch Christian, and there's no way that I would believe she's anywhere but heaven. With the way your mind is, the condition of your mind at the time of death has a lot to do with what happens. So if you want to go to heaven and that's all you think about, you probably will. But we have to remember that certain realms are permanent and certain ones aren't. So in the sentient realms, which are not enlightened, they have a lifespan. Some of the lifespans might be very long and some might be very short. Like, for example, in the human realm, our lifespan is very short compared to the heavenly realm. But another thing that's really hard to accept for some people is that the heavenly realm has a long lifetime, but they have a sentient lifetime. That means it will end at some point.
And then we'll be born again.
Yes.
We'll come back.
And imagine if you're in a heavenly realm and you can manifest anything you want just by thinking. Imagine how mad you would be if you can't do that anymore. When you start to fall, most people get very angry. And that's going to take them to a lower rebirth, like hell or hungry ghost. So the best thing to do is go for the gold. Go for the gold, go for enlightenment. You'll never have to deal with it again.
Can one consciously choose where they want to be born?
You do choose where you're going to be born, but you may not realize you're choosing because, say, as a human, you can have thoughts of every realm. Like you'll get angry, and that's a hell realm. Or you want something and you can't get it. That's a hungry ghost realm. Or you're so wonderful to everyone and you love everyone and you'll do anything for everyone. That's a heavenly realm. A human or any realm can have a thought of any other realm every second. But when a person starts to concentrate their thoughts on a certain realm, that's where they're probably going to be born at the time of their body's death. So if you are usually angry, you'll probably be pulled into the hell realm when you die. And if you usually get along with everybody and you love everyone, you'll probably get pulled into the heavenly realm when you die. It's not that you want to go, it's that you're pulled there because that's where your thoughts concentrate.
I'm getting to learn a lot from you in this podcast.
I'm glad.
So, my next question is, if you could meet your fully enlightened self from a future lifetime, what's the one question you would ask them?
How do I let go of all my habits and attachments in this world? That's what I would ask them. How can I absolutely do that and still experience a human, how do I say this? Human joy. That's difficult because emotion takes you in a different direction. So it seems like to me, you either have to, and I just went through this not too long ago, this question. I feel like when I've been walking my path, I feel that I've done a good job with it. But I kind of miss the human caring and love of another partner. And I think that it's possible to get there if you can find a partner who has the same intention as you do. You can support one another. But that was probably what I would say to my future self. How do I do that eloquently?
Do you have any kind of regrets?
No, that's interesting you asked me that because my teacher said to me, if you have regrets, then you can walk a different path. And I said, no, I don't. I feel honored that I can take the information she gave me and share it with other people, because then they have a choice. Then they can use it to become enlightened if they wish. It's their choice now, but at least I offered. I'm there. I put it out there.
How would you want your next lifetime to be like?
I would probably do the same thing as I do now. Whatever I can do to honor her and help in her work, that's what I would like to do.
Where do you want to be born?
I would rather be born in the animal realm. I love animals. They're so cute, and they're just so innocent. I have been born in the animal realm many times. I think I've been born in every realm many times. But the animal realm it's a natural for me. I feel very comfortable there. Of course, I really probably wouldn't want to be a cougar or anything that I have to kill other animals, but
They are genuine also.
they are. They're probably my favorite realm. Yeah.
Great. Now we are going to the last question. For those who want to explore your teachings and wisdom further, how can they reach you or connect with your work?
They can contact me through email or through my website. I have books on my website that they can purchase. I also have if they want to connect with me, like to have some teaching done, they can, choose that. And that website is freethemindbooks.com. They can also order my books on Amazon. If they want to do that. And if they want to contact me, they have a question, I'm happy to answer it. They would just write me on my email, which is freethemind333@gmail.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really wonderful to talk with you. I have a good relationship with you. I'm glad we met.
I'm glad too. I got to learn a lot from you.
Good. I'm glad.
And I'm sure the audience will also learn a lot from you from this podcast.
Well, I hope they do. That's my intention.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Take care.
Take care.